Rogue Nicotine on Demand. Delivered direct to your door. Available in all your favorite flavors and formats. Pouches, gum, wintergreen, peppermint, and more. From fishing to Sunday football to dinner at the in-laws, Rogue Nicotine is there for you when you need it. Visit RogueNicotine.com today and save 10% when you place your order for sugar-free, fast-acting Rogue Nicotine. Underage sales prohibited. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For more information, visit RogueNicotine.com. Rogue Nicotine on Demand. Delivered direct to your door. Available in all your favorite flavors and formats. Pouches, gum, wintergreen, peppermint, and more. From fishing to Sunday football to dinner at the in-laws, Rogue Nicotine is there for you when you need it. Visit RogueNicotine.com today and save 10% when you place your order for sugar-free, fast-acting Rogue Nicotine. Underage sales prohibited. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For more information, visit RogueNicotine.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Ghislaine Maxwell is currently rotting away in a jail cell. And people still think that she's not going to rat on Prince Andrew or the other co-conspirators. While I might not know Ghislaine Maxwell as much as Christopher Mason does, I do know that when people get caught up in situations like this, it is all about self-preservation. And if Ghislaine Maxwell thinks giving up Prince Andrew is going to get her a quicker jaunt out of that jail cell, if she thinks that it's going to shave years off of her sentence, then you better believe she is going to rat out whoever she thinks is going to help her in the long run. There is no honor amongst thieves. There is certainly no honor amongst sex traffickers. And these people have all lived a pampered lifestyle. They have all lived in the lapses of luxury. None of them know what it's like to go to bed hungry. None of them know what it's like to worry about how they're paying their bills or paying for their next meal or buying their kids the newest Jordans for school. They don't know about any of that. Their whole lives were lived without any problems like normal folks like we have, right? All they're worried about is the consolidation of power. Where you're trying to put food on the table, they're trying to consolidate their power. And then when the walls all come down and everything starts to get exposed, you see the roaches scurry. You see people getting thrown overboard or under the bus by their own co-conspirators. And we're already seeing that now, without superseded indictments, without overlapping cases. You see these people already freaking out. Look at how quick Dirty Dersh tried to pull Wexner into things. Look at how quick this one points at that one, and then that one points at this one. And this is just the very beginning, folks. The very beginning of watching them all transform from big, tough human traffickers to dirty, filthy rats. Our article today is from The Sun, and the headline is, Fiercely Loyal. Ghislaine Maxwell won't betray Prince Andrew over sex with Jeffrey Epstein survivor Virginia Roberts, says former pal. This article was authored by Allison Maloney. While Ghislaine Maxwell languishes in prison awaiting trial over the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal, the world is wondering what she will reveal about Prince Andrew's alleged liaison with survivor Virginia Roberts. And not what she will reveal, what has she revealed already? We don't know what has been talked about. We don't know what her lawyers have presented to the prosecution in hopes of getting some leniency. But what I will tell you is this. The second you get caught up in something like this, and the second the federal authorities know that there are co-conspirators, you better believe they are working you. They are needing you. They are molding you into exactly what they want so that you end up doing their bidding. And that's how these prosecutors operate. What do you think? They don't know what they're doing in those interrogation rooms? Of course they do. How do you think they nail everybody on process crimes? They excel on getting people on process crimes. Even if you might not have been involved with the original situation, if you have knowledge of it and they bring you in, well, next thing you know, you lie about it, you're caught up in a perjury trap, and before you know it, you're going to jail. Oh, it's okay for them to lie to you, though. You can't lie to them. When it comes to the feds, zero chance. So, I have to believe that Ghislaine Maxwell has already been talking. What she's been saying, I have no idea. I'm not privy to that information. But I will tell you this. If I was her lawyer, I would be all over her to come clean and talk about everything she knows while she's still going to do serious time. She might be able to get some more lenient conditions at the facility she ends up in, or whatever it may be. She will help herself in the end, at least a little bit, if she is giving up names. But in a bombshell interview with The Sun, the socialite, co-conspirator, fellow child molester, all-around scumbag, former friend Christopher Mason says Ghislaine will not betray the beleaguered prince, who denies the allegations against him. And again, I don't know Christopher Mason. I don't know Ghislaine Maxwell. And I certainly don't know the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. But what I do know are criminals. And what I most certainly know are people who are facing charges like this, RICO charges, etc. And it is an uphill climb in the best of days for the hardest of people. All right? We're talking the hardest of gangsters, mafioso, you name it, have cracked under this sort of pressure. So for Christopher Mason here to try and pitch to me that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be able to withstand the barrage and hold strong, hold the line, I find a very hard time believing that, especially considering these people are only concerned about self-preservation. Prince Andrew and Ghislaine were always fiercely loyal to each other, and she wouldn't give him up, he tells The Sun Online. I think she'll still have his back and will protect him to the last. Well, I'll tell you what. Sammy the Bull Gravano and John Gotti were super close. How did that work out? We can go on and on and on about people in criminal enterprises who were ratted on by good friends, other people involved in the business, etc., etc. Just because you're good friends does not mean you're not going to throw that person under the bus when you're staring down a life sentence in prison. I don't think U.S. prosecutors would have much of an appetite for shaming a British prince, but his refusal to cooperate with their inquiries may spur their determination to exert maximum pressure on Ghislaine to turn on him. I think that's a bunch of bullocks at this point. I think that the prosecution in the United States is keenly aware of the scrutiny that they're under in this case, of the pressure that they are now under to turn indictments. We're paying attention now, all right? This isn't something we're just casually checking in on. We are locked in, entrenched, and fully engaged. And the prosecution understands that they are no longer operating outside of the public realm. The public is completely invested in this now, completely involved, and they expect the prosecution to kick down doors, shake bushes, and search behind every single obstacle for anybody who is involved, prince or otherwise. British journalist Christopher, who is based in New York, became a close friend of alleged pimp, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, Maxwell after they met in 1989, and says her connection to powerful men, including Prince Andrew, meant she was the perfect match for social climber Epstein. Again, look, this Christopher Mason is running the same tired-ass story about Ghislaine Maxwell needing Jeffrey Epstein to help her. That is not the case. She was not some lost lamb who needed a flock, okay? She came to America to meet Jeffrey Epstein with one sole purpose in mind: getting this operation up and running. I am 100% convinced of that. She didn't have to come to find Jeffrey Epstein to help her with money, okay? Plenty of other people, I'm sure, would have stepped in and filled the void. There was a reason that it was Epstein that she ended up with, and there is a reason that they were together operating for so long. As a couple, they hobnobbed with the likes of Donald Trump and wife Melania and former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and even going back before that, Trump's wife previously. I believe her name was Ivanka. I really don't follow that kind of trash. The guy's had like 100 wives. How am I supposed to keep up? He's like a Middle Eastern sheikh with all of the wives. He might as well just have a harem. I mean, he might as well just go all the way through with it and have a harem. Who can keep up with Donald Trump's sex life, personal life, wives, divorces? I mean, talk about a nightmare. Jeffrey was supremely ambitious, but he was never a cocktail party kind of guy, says Christopher. He was only interested in hanging out with the powerful people. Well, yeah. You're not going to blackmail people that aren't powerful, sir. You're not going to compile dossiers on people that aren't in the know, sir. And you most certainly aren't going to waste your time or resources on people that can't further your ambitions. Although he only met Prince Andrew once, Christopher says he was well aware of Maxwell's high dubious friendship with the royal. I met them both on one occasion when they were walking down Madison Avenue, and he told me he was staying at Epstein's vast New York City house, he says. It seemed natural that, of course, if Prince Andrew was in New York, he would be hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell because she cultivated powerful and socially prominent people. It was also the perfect instance of the kind of people Jeffrey was hanging out with. Look, there is zero doubt that Prince Andrew, a.k.a. the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, was BFFs with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. If you were to take out Virginia's accusations, okay, say none of that ever even occurred, even still, this disgusting, smarmy son of a bitch would have to answer for his tight relationship with this disgusting sex trafficker. Now, we jump back into reality, and we add Virginia's very credible accusation. And what we have here, folks, is a disgusting shit pie with one ingredient. That ingredient, Prince Andrew. This is a man who has no leg to stand on when it comes to a defense of his relationship with Epstein. And furthermore, not only his relationship with Epstein, but his super close, tight relationship with Maxwell. In a lawsuit filed in 2015, Virginia Roberts claimed that Epstein and Maxwell groomed her at 15 and trafficked her to Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17. In Surviving Jeffrey Epstein, which airs on Crime and Investigation tonight, Virginia says the prince should be held accountable because he's an abuser. She adds, Prince Andrew is not the prince from the fairy tale stories you read. Before he abused me, Ghislaine does this guessing game, and he guessed right. I was 17. He compared me to his daughters, saying, oh, my daughters are a few years younger than you. And also, I've seen some comments on Twitter from some obviously people who have fell and hit their head and are suffering from some mental conditions, who point out that money was received and money was given, and yeah, you dumb idiot morons, that's called hush money, okay? That's what you do when you don't want people to talk, all right? These girls were trafficked against their will, and that money was hush money. Try and keep up with the story before you ask your ridiculous questions. And furthermore, I won't even bother engaging with people like that. It is not even worth my time, especially in some sort of Twitter-fueled nonsense. I suggest that nobody engages people like that, to be honest with you. Ignore them and keep it moving, because they obviously have no idea what they're talking about and they're just wasting time. I don't know about you, but I do not have the time to waste on morons such as that. Model agency boss Lisa Phillips, who spent time at Epstein's houses in New York and the Caribbean island of Little St. James, told The Sun that Virginia had been crying when she told her she had sex with Prince Andrew. Lisa claimed, "She told me Jeffrey told her to go into a bedroom and have sex with Prince Andrew. She said Prince Andrew had sex with her and then left the room. I think she was confused by Jeffrey, manipulated by him. She felt like she had to do it." Again, this is a young girl, 16, 17, being manipulated by people who understood the psychology of grooming and procuring young girls. They made them feel like this was a normal part of life, that this is how high society behaved. And why would they think any different when all of the members of so-called polite society conducted themselves in the same manner? These are children we're talking about here. Even if you don't think 17 or 18 is a child, we are talking about young adults who don't have the life lessons lived yet to understand the scope of what they're dealing with. People who are trafficked, for those of you in the back who are a little slow and who can't comprehend what's going on here, people who are trafficked, they can't consent, okay? They're being trafficked against their will. And there are a lot of nuances that go into that. And if you would educate yourself, you would understand that this is much more than just simply someone receiving money for their actions. And to look at it like that shows that you cannot comprehend what is going on here. She said she confronted Epstein, who told her, "It's nice to have things on people." There is no suggestion the prince knew of Epstein's demand or was involved in any non-consensual sex, and sources close to him branded the allegation baseless. You know what that's called? Okay? Plausible deniability. Oh, I had no idea how old she was. Jeffrey took care of that. He was the one that provided all of the girls. I mean, really? Is that your defense? I didn't know her age. So that's going to work out for you, huh? Would that work out for a normal person? Me, you, your Uncle Joe, your cousin Steve? No, it would not. Equal justice under the law for all of us. It's not that much of an off-the-wall request, folks, okay? In the same documentary, Christopher reveals Maxwell asked him to write a creepy 40th birthday song about her former lover. Chillingly, she specifically asked for lines about his 24-hour erection and schoolgirl crushes to be included. 24-hour erection? What? I remember watching the commercials. It says after 4 hours, you should seek the help of a medical professional. So this dude has a 24-hour erection on her every day? The whole entire situation was just odd on its face. And even back then, when he's talking about schoolgirl crushes and 24-hour erections, and they're asking you to add this to a song, you don't say, what the f*** is wrong with these people? Are these people on hallucinogenics? Did they go down and see a shaman in South America and get all fired up on Hayakusa? Or what is going on? Because normal people don't live like this. Normal people don't ask for songs like this. The 58-year-old heiress, child abuser, co-conspirator, is now facing charges of sex trafficking and accusations of procuring girls for Epstein, who died in jail after being arrested on pedophile charges in 2019. Last month, it was claimed that Maxwell had kept sex tapes of Epstein's powerful friends with young girls filmed on secret cameras in his houses in New York and Palm Beach and the Caribbean hideaway dubbed Pedo Island. Oh yeah, let's just forget about Zorro Ranch. I guess Zorro Ranch never existed. I guess nobody was ever abused out at Zorro Ranch. I guess that there were no cameras there. What in the hell is going on? Why is Zorro Ranch being ignored? Why aren't we talking about the abuse that occurred there? Why isn't there a state investigation running concurrently? Now Christopher, who has attended parties at Epstein's homes, claims surveillance cameras were hardwired into the 60 million pound townhouse on New York's East 71st Street that Epstein took over from Victoria's Secret boss Les Wexner. Again, this Christopher Mason guy, look, I'm not saying he was involved in the trafficking, right? I don't know him from here to Cheyenne. But what I will say is this. Another person who was around when this shit was going on, who thought shit was weird and creepy, and as a journalist never decided to dig deeper, go to his editor and say, hey, there's something here, let's dig in. So what were you doing, Christopher Mason, during this whole entire time? I had no idea of secret sex videos at the time because I didn't know of any kind of sexual depravity with regards to Epstein, and certainly not Ghislaine, he says. But I certainly knew at the time that there was a panic room and that there were rooms with security cameras. So video surveillance seemed to be hardwired into that house. Yeah, seemed to be? No, it's a fact. That place was hardwired. Just listen to Maria, listen to Virginia, listen to the other survivors, and listen to the IT techs that were there, the professionals who set up the cameras. All right, we've talked to Mr. Kellogg, we've heard from Mr. Scully. There has been several people who have come forward and corroborated this. During his friendship with Maxwell, Christopher was unaware she was involved in Epstein's sick sex ring, which saw dozens of underage girls tricked into giving the billionaire 150-pound massages before being sexually assaulted. But he reveals that friends missed red flags along the way, recalling a party thrown for her mother Elizabeth at Epstein's palatial New York home in 1992. And this is how they give you little tidbits that they knew without admitting it fully, so they don't have to deal with the blowback of people asking, well, you knew and you did nothing. But these are what they do. They'll give you little tidbits. Oh, there was this one time. Oh, there was this other time. But there was this one time. But I never put the pieces together. Yeah, okay. It was a large party, and Ghislaine invited all of her closest friends, which included me, he says. There was a rumor going around the room that Ghislaine's boyfriend Jeffrey liked schoolgirls, and that Ghislaine made it her business to introduce him to posh schoolgirls from the posher New York schools. Stop. Hit the brakes. This is 1992, okay? There was a rumor going around the room in 1992, according to Christopher Mason. So if that rumor was going around the room, all these other billionaires and shit that were hanging out with him had no idea. They all had no idea what Jeffrey Epstein was, but the people in the living room of Jeffrey Epstein's house, they had an idea. Your story is fugazi, okay? It's garbage. All these rich people, from Trump to Clinton to George Stephanopoulos to Woody Allen, you name it. All of these sons of bitches that were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein are absolutely caught red-handed, folks. And we keep getting more and more information that points to the fact that everybody knew what was going on and nobody stepped in. Jeffrey Epstein liked posh schoolgirls, and Maxwell made it her business to introduce him to schoolgirls from posher New York schools. You knew that, and you didn't do shit about it. You didn't write an article about it. You didn't go to your editor about it. You didn't take it upon yourself to do your job as a journalist and dig in. What are you scared of? It just seemed really odd and kind of unsavory, but it also seemed relatively innocent, like a naughty interest. Schoolgirls is a naughty interest? No, it's not a naughty interest, okay? There wasn't a sense at the time of there being anything sordid, and certainly no sense of sexual depravity. Of course it sounds revolting now. So going after schoolgirls, posh schoolgirls from New York schools, the upper crust schools, that's not gross. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no hint of sexual depravity there. Maybe Christopher Mason needs to be looked at a little bit deeper, because I don't know what to say about all of this shit here. Christopher had known Ghislaine Maxwell for 2 years when she moved to New York in January 1991 to run the Daily News, which had been bought by her media mogul father, Robert Maxwell. But 10 months later, her privileged lifestyle came crashing down when her father's body was found floating in the Atlantic Ocean close to his luxury yacht named Lady Ghislaine after his daughter. Her father was so corrupt, her father was so disgusting, and so poisoned inside and out that even the sharks and other oceanic life didn't want to eat this guy. They found his body. Think about that. It's a free meal floating around the ocean. No sharks want to eat him. They didn't want to get sick. They know that agita is on the menu if they eat this scumbag. The family's troubles grew when it was revealed that Maxwell had stolen millions from his employees' pension fund, and Ghislaine's two brothers, Kevin and Ian, were arrested on fraud charges. Although they were later acquitted. Of course they were. People like that don't do real time, especially over in England back in those days. I mean, forget it. If you're part of the upper crust of society, you're golden. The scandal and the loss of the family fortune left her utterly dejected and living in a tiny one-bed rented flat, says Christopher. Oh, the humanity. Oh, you lost your millions and millions of pounds of money. You got to live in a one-bedroom flat. Oh, how terrible. But the spring of 1992, when she began dating Epstein, things had completely turned around. You mean when she was sent into Epstein's sphere so that they can get their operation up and running? Dating, please. I don't buy any of that shit. Suddenly, she's looking supremely confident, talking about this guy she's dating, traveling by private jet, radiating success and confidence, says Christopher. Some people have questioned whether there was a romance between them, but I got the strong impression that it was genuine, and that it quickly morphed into her working for him. Nope, I don't believe in the romance angle. I don't think that ever occurred. I believe that Epstein was always an asset, and I believe that Maxwell, in the beginning, was his handler. That is what I believe. One evening, we were going out to a party together, and she asked me to meet her at Jeffrey's offices in a very grand building in Madison Avenue. She told me that she was taking helicopter lessons and that she was running Epstein's multiple houses. It was a job where you have to be on your toes because he was demanding, but she seemed to relish that role. Christopher believes a relationship with monster Jeffrey filled the void left by her father's death. No, I disagree again. I believe that Maxwell understood her role in this. She was sent by her handlers to get this going with Epstein. And this whole entire thing about her dad dying and Epstein filling that void, that is all part of the grand deluxe cover story that was put into place by whoever was running this. Her father was a famously swashbuckling rogue, a monster with a reputation for being very difficult. Speaking about her father, it was clear she knew he was difficult, but they were incredibly close, and she was devastated by his death. With Epstein, she also knew he was demanding, but she loved being indispensable to him. So it seemed like a sort of strange echo of her relationship with her father. And again, I've said it a lot. Maxwell was raised at her dad's knee. She was raised in the world of spycraft, and she understood very much so what she was getting herself into. As the relationship progressed, it's alleged that Maxwell took over more than the housekeeping, helping him to run a pyramid scheme of sex trafficking where abuse victims groomed their own friends for an extra $200 at a time. As well as recruiting underage girls, some survivors, including Virginia Roberts, who was trafficked at 15, claim that Maxwell took part in the sexual assault herself. And we know that that's from several different girls, not just Virginia, right? That's not just a Virginia claim. Several girls have said the same thing. Christopher says the allegations against her of enabling and taking part in Epstein's molestation of young women are truly horrendous, and says he believes her former lover's every wish was her command. He's trying to give her cover fire here. Hey, Mason, look, buddy, this isn't going to work. You're not going to provide cover for her. We're not going to believe the woe is me. Ghislaine was roped into some trap here, okay? She needs to take responsibility for her part, and you need to take responsibility for the fact that you were hanging out around these days too, and obviously, people were talking about the rumor while you were sitting in that room in 92, and you did nothing either. So, stop trying to give your friend cover here and take a look in the mirror. Ghislaine once met a friend of mine to discuss decorating Jeffrey's townhouse, he recalls. They were in the middle of a conversation in a fashionable restaurant when her cell phone rang and she said, "Oh my God, it's Jeffrey. He's got a cold. He wants me to find him the best chicken soup in New York. I've got to go." She would do anything to please him. Well, yeah, they were partners. She was running him as an asset. She wanted to make sure he continued to do what she wanted. Despite the fact that Epstein and Maxwell's lives were intertwined for a long time, Christopher says she had moved on when she met computer mogul Ted Waite in 2005 and started a 6-year relationship. She helped Epstein plan his ascent in the world of politics and power, says Christopher. But Ghislaine introduced me to Ted Waite, who was handsome and rich, and they seemed to be having a really great time. So I assumed that she had moved on from Jeffrey. What? No, she hadn't. Again, more cover. Maxwell was never moving on from Epstein. They were connected from the time they were introduced as partners until the very end of time. They are connected now. Now, with her luxury and privilege stripped away, Maxwell is facing a long stretch behind bars, her toughest challenge to date. Ghislaine's always been resourceful and resilient, says Christopher, but a long sentence would, I imagine, be soul-destroying for her. Yeah, that's a fact. 100%. And that also goes into the comment I made earlier about how Ghislaine Maxwell is going to rat out whoever she thinks will help her get an easier sentence, point blank, period. That is how these things go. That is how these things function. But for me, it is quite obvious, folks, now, yesterday, the day before, that everybody in these circles knew what was going on. Mason just admitted it. All the way back in 92, they were in the living room talking about the rumors of Jeffrey Epstein and young girls. So for any of these people to come forward and try and tell us, oh, we had no idea what was going on, please refer back to these articles that we have compiled and understand that every single person that was involved with Jeffrey Epstein that has issued a canned denial is lying, it would seem. All of these people who are trying to distance themselves from Epstein, who are trying to say they had no idea what was occurring, have done nothing but lie this whole entire time in order to save face. Instead of doing the right thing and coming forward and talking to authorities about what they know, instead, they decide to act deceitful. Instead, they act like they had no idea, when in reality, according to Christopher Mason, other sources, we know that everybody, at the very least, had an idea, the kind of monster that Jeffrey Epstein was, and nobody in so-called polite society had the courage to do a thing about it. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go along with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, we'll be back later on.
Rogue Nicotine on demand. Delivered direct to your door. Available in all your favorite flavors and formats. Pouches, gum, wintergreen, peppermint, and more. From fishing to Sunday football to dinner at the in-laws, Rogue Nicotine is there for you when you need it. Visit RogueNicotine.com today and save 10% when you place your order for sugar-free, fast-acting Rogue Nicotine. Underage sales prohibited. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For more information, visit RogueNicotine.com. Rogue Nicotine on demand. Delivered direct to your door. Available in all your favorite flavors and formats. Pouches, gum, wintergreen, peppermint, and more. From fishing to Sunday football to dinner at the in-laws, Rogue Nicotine is there for you when you need it. Visit RogueNicotine.com today and save 10% when you place your order for sugar-free, fast-acting Rogue Nicotine. Underage sales prohibited. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For more information, visit RogueNicotine.com.